95% of people that are entrepreneurs should probably just go get a job. The construction draws thing, people act like it's, I don't know what other people do. Like we've used Kiavi and all the other big companies a long time ago, and their processes were so monotonous to get everything approved. And now it's actually pretty streamlined, but it is amazing the level of pushback that people have. I'm just like, no, you need to like actually send us photos showing that you actually did the work. And I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't get it either, man.
You know what it is? It is people, I mean, it's always the same kind of borrower where we kind of like squeaked them through because they had shitty credit and the deal was kind of like, meh. We know deep down that what they're doing is they're trying to get money so they can go and pay off their other lender. Because also too,
exactly.
I don't know about you, Dan, but it is the 6th of March. Have you noticed a suspicious uptick in requests this week for renovation funds?
You're absolutely right.
Everyone's got to pay their hard money loans.
Everyone's got to pay their hard money loans.
Because they're all getting cooked right now.
Yeah, so true.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. We got no Dylan today. So it is just me, Mike DeHaan, and Dan Austin talking to you about business and real estate and money and stuff.
And collecting cash flow. Yeah, I didn't get a single DM about rebranding the show. Fine, guys. That's because they don't like it. They don't like the name, dude.
they have no ideas for the name. And the funny thing is like last week's episode actually did like really well. So
really?
I know you nerds freaking heard it. Just no one reached out to me at Mike_invest. Come on.
Just fucking text him. He'll be happy if you do it.
I know. Dude, so on this draws conversation we were talking about with these flippers. And literally, I don't know if I saw this email just as this started up. Same guy who requested a draw like apparently weeks ago, which also doesn't make sense because his loan closed 2 weeks ago, emailed in and said, where's my draw? And you said you didn't actually submit it. And now he responded and said with a different email saying, is there someone who can give me a call? I've tried calling a ton and obviously emails aren't dependable. It is 2026. I understand that there's this whole sort of stigma that real estate people suck at technology. Don't be one of those people.
Yeah.
It's not that freaking hard to learn how to just like use a singular system or like respond to an email or who is he calling? I don't even know.
I don't know. You know what? We're in a customer business now. Customer facing business.
Well, the funny thing is like, you know, the whole premise of Collecting Keys when we started was to talk about like crazy wholesale stuff, crazy sellers, all these different things. We're now removed from that.
Mm-hmm.
The experiences that you have, I think in every like service sort of customer business that you're talking about is kind of the same, where the different problems and stuff, like they're not quite as crazy as like, you know, having like a meth head that's like lives with a bunch of wild animals in their house or something. But like the irrationality of a lot of customers is very much the same.
Yeah, it's because they work with meth heads.
They work with meth heads. They're getting a contact high from going to the crack house.
We were there once.
I know. But it's funny. I was talking to our sales team before this, and we've had quite a few issues recently. And we talked about this, I think it was last year on the show, with borrowers that like have no money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's crazy to me because
and poor credit.
Yeah, poor credit, no money. And they'll have like a track record sometimes. And they're coming through. And the situation that always baffles me. And so this conversation started with my sales team because they were like, do you think that our liquidity requirements are excessive? And I said, no, I don't. And that's because when Dan and I were in the throes of like buying houses, like we had our real estate business, that was the exclusive thing we were doing. We never faced that problem because we understood that, yes, you should account for when the roof now needs to be done and that wasn't in your initial budget. Mm-hmm. And so you can't get additional renovation funds. You got to pay for that.
Yep.
We had to account for like stuff sitting on market longer than we expected. You know, there was all these different situations we had to account for. So we always had cash and we never faced liquidity issues. And I don't know what it is with people, but it seems like so many people, their way of trying to get out of their liquidity problem is to buy another house because they think that the profit from that house that they can't actually afford is going to give them more money for future houses, but it's like very backwards way of thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The challenge is, you know, it's a very slow way to make money. Like you're better off if you're having a liquidity crunch, like going and like selling stuff or like getting a job because it's a 6-month turnaround time if you're lucky.
I know.
And these people are submitting their liquidity positions, which is all the money they have. And it's like, I know you got to eat. So are you now eating off of my draw money that I'm sending you? Are you financing your cheeseburger?
And that's exactly the point. Like we literally had somebody today that they like needed like $22,000 to close the loan. They have like 25,000. And there was an argument around, well, they have enough money to do the loan plus pay a few months of interest. Why is that a problem? And to your point, that's all of their money. Yeah. How are they going to pay for their life? Are they homeless?
They got a credit card payment. They've got a truck payment. What's that? Mortgage.
Are they eating at the soup kitchen? Like, what are they doing? I don't understand.
Yeah. And like you said, if something happens during your renovation or you find out that the sewer's collapsed and it doesn't function, which is not uncommon, and it's $8,000, where are you going to get that money?
Or even in your life, if you're that extended and all of a sudden your freaking car needs a new tire, you get a flat and you got to buy a new set of tires. You don't have enough money for that. You shouldn't be buying a house. You should go get a freaking job.
Yeah. Go seriously. Do that. Get a commission job too, where you can make big fat commissions. Go sell cars. I just went and bought a car yesterday for my wife. Like, those dudes are doing all right. Go sell cars. You could hustle money doing that. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it, but
no,
somebody should.
Somebody should. I don't know, man.
I think we've gone full cycle on the real estate and entrepreneur thing and being a business owner. And for some people, getting a job is actually a pretty good idea.
Absolutely.
And then flip houses on the side.
Yeah. I would say like 95% of people that are entrepreneurs should probably just go get a job.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're struggling, man. Why struggle that hard? It doesn't have to be that hard.
Well, not only that, like they're not good at it.
Yeah.
And they don't proactively try to be better.
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger thing is like there's a learning piece to entrepreneurship. There's a long period of time where, you're not good at it. You don't make a lot of money. That's whatever. But like it kind of like calls to you. But if you're not like a growth-minded person that like you remember that the last time you did a deal, this was the thing that went sideways. Or like the last time you got a loan from us, these were the things that we asked for. And you come to get another one and you still don't have those things.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, dude. Like you're literally not growing and learning at all. You're just an idiot. Like you're just like, you're in the same place. You're still in like a hamster wheel, but you're also not making any money. And the funny thing is all those people, they always say like, oh, I don't like kind of where I have to be tied down to a job. I don't like how I don't have control my income, all these different things. These people still don't have that because their liabilities are so massive and the return on their time is so low for how much of a mess they create.
I think they're just lazy sometimes.
I think so.
Part of it. Like, you want all the perks of doing it, but you're not doing it. So you don't want the downsides of a job, which is like, you got to like show up.
Yeah, you got to like, you can't play golf on Thursday afternoon. I mean, there's a lot of people that are like that too, where they literally don't have any money and like they struggle and hustle 6.5 days a week. But hey, they get to play golf on Thursday afternoon and that's all that matters to them.
Sounds terrible.
It's true though. And there's several people I can think of off the top of my head that we know that are literally that.
Yeah, 100%. Or they struggle like half a day a week and then golf 3 days a week.
Yeah. I think what always gets everybody is then you also have that person who likes to pretend like they have a lot of money.
Oh.
Yeah.
They
just kind of like spend it willy-nilly on stuff. They talk a big game. They try not to pay taxes. Here's the thing. If you don't make any money, don't worry about not paying any taxes. You're not paying any freaking taxes anyway.
Don't worry about taxes. Yeah.
Just fucking pay them.
It's pennies.
Yeah. Really.
And honestly, tax loopholes are meant for rich people, not average people. They're just not. They're not meant for average people.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were ever one of those people that would like, back when we were all getting started as adults and you would use TurboTax and you didn't know what any of the settings were and you would just kind of like you would just fuck around with the numbers until it said the most amount you get back. If you're that person, you probably don't need to worry about taxes.
Yeah.
Just pay them.
If you're doing that right now, if you're using TurboTax right now, it's likely you don't need to worry about it. And I'm not shitting on people because we've all done it before. We've all been there. You got to start somewhere, but just don't worry about taxes. Worry about taxes when you get a bill and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, totally. When you've made enough money that your accountant reaches out to you and say, hey, your quarterlies are $85,000. When your quarterlies are now your old starting salary, then it's time to worry about taxes.
Yeah.
That's a good metric.
Golly, dude. Yeah. And then you can be a lender.
And then when you really want to be a jaded prick, just go be a lender and you control all the money for everybody.
Hell yeah, dude.
So anyway, I'll get off my high horse. I guess one thing I ran out with that, whatever you're doing with your business right now, it probably sucks. Like there's probably parts of that absolutely suck. I guarantee, there's some shiny object in another business. You're like, man, that sounds so much better. That also has things that suck exactly the same.
That also sucks.
And there's just always sucks. There's actually a really great Hermosi clip of this. I think I sent it to you, Dan, a couple of weeks ago, where there's this lady, she's talking about whatever business she's in. She goes, well, I really like the coaching. And she's like, well, why don't you like what you're doing right now? I was like, oh, it's just hard. It sucks. And Alex goes, well, who are the coaching guys in here? Does your business suck? And they go, yeah. He goes, there you go. It all sucks. Every business sucks. You just kind of have to deal with it. And that is so true.
This actually brings up a good point because you have, and I don't know, and this will be a good question to answer, is how do you know that you just need to quit versus you need to suck more? Because it's like one of those things, right, where it seems from the outside very clear, but when you're in it, it's not that clear. It's like a business owner. My wife is actually coaching a business owner here in town, and there's financial struggles, right? And it's like when you're selling a product that loses money, selling more of that product means you lose more money. But you think for some reason you could work your way out of it. It's like, no. You got a structural problem in your business. You're losing money on your product. So if you sell more, you literally just going to go more into debt, right? It's not always that straightforward in the real estate kind of business. Things are a little bit different because you're not usually selling a single product, right? You might be a real estate agent. You might be a loan broker. You might be a flipper, wholesaler, whatever. And you're working your ass off and you're doing all the right things, but you're not making progress, right? In some senses, it's like, just keep going. Just keep going, right? You got to keep going. You got to keep you right there at the gold. But as you and I found out, I mean, I would say, took it to the next level. And there's people that have done way, way, way better than us in the flipping and wholesaling. But I think we did a pretty good scalable operation. And maybe we were right. We were right above the gold, so to speak. But as we switched to lending and gained more alignment, like then it was like, I really do feel like we just got to keep going.
For sure. Yeah. So I guess to answer your question, whether to quit or to keep going, I think there's kind of two pieces to that. And we've done this with multiple businesses, right? So we had our flipping and wholesaling business directly that we sold last year. We had our franchise that we spent, which is all through collecting keys, that we grew and focused on and built out. So that was, if you guys have been around for a while, we had our scale community. We had our franchise that we were building out, which was like this partnership program that you probably heard us talk about on here. We basically shut that down, right? We had a Simply Leads cold calling company. If you guys were around for that little period, we had that we really heavily focused on for like 6 months that we sold, right? So all these things were stuff that we put time, money, and attention into. And so the real estate company we sold, the Simply Leads lead generation company we sold, the franchise, we spent like $200,000 and just shut that bitch down.
Yeah.
Like we didn't do anything with it. And ultimately, I think on all of those, the decision was made off of two things, right? One, it was like the financial sort of momentum that it had. So to your point, like we knew that growing it was going to cause money loss or was going to basically be like a net zero. And if we looked at like our fundamental KPIs, we could sort of project where it was going to go. And it did not make sense for us to do that for the other opportunities that we had, right? So that's a big thing. This is also why it's so important to track your business KPIs and, your revenue projections over the month, how much work you're putting in, all sorts of things. So there's the financial piece. The other piece is I would call it the psychological or emotional piece, where like if it's a business that you hate selling the product, you hate being in the day-to-day. And I mean like actually hate it, not like something where it gets hard and you're like, oh, it's a pain in the ass, but then you still wake up and you get to work. But like, when you have to work on it, you will do anything to avoid working on it because it just eats your soul. You should probably find something else because it's not sustainable long-term.
It's not sustainable. You are at burnout factor for sure.
Totally.
In that case.
So I think back to like when we first started our wholesaling business back in 2019, 2020, right? That first period of time, it was so hard, right? And we made no money. Like all of the financial metrics I'm talking about were down. Like we just basically lost 35 grand if I made anything. But I still liked it because we had the momentum of like the leads coming in. We were having conversations. So we knew it was there. Yeah. And so even though we were making nothing, it was very easy for me to work 12 hours a day. What the hell I was doing for those 12 hours, I don't remember. Because like if I look at it now, it was so incredibly inefficient, but it was still like exciting. But then things like the franchise, when we got to that, by the time we shut it down, we were trying to like sort of like pre-sell these partnership stuff. It was horrible. Yeah. I hated like pitching it. And then also too, the problem is we would like know just by who these people were, some of the people that were coming, like we knew they were going to fail. Yeah. They sucked at what we were going to be asking them to do, but we needed their money. And so we'd have them come in. I just like didn't like that style of business. And same with like the Simply Lead stuff. Here's the thing with everybody that sells you a lead gen business, you guys. If you'll notice, a lot of them used to do real estate and now they sell lead gen. Yeah. It's because they're really good at like getting the phone to ring, but not actually in converting those leads. And a lot of times because the leads aren't that good. And so when you're selling a lead gen business, same thing as like our partnership. They know that most of you are going to suck and not close their leads and you're going to cancel in 3 months. I guarantee you that they have like an average churn in their market that's probably like 3 to 6 months, and you are now a statistic to them.
100%.
They know you're going to be gone in 4 months. And so they're trying to like find more so that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And that goes for any business, right? It's all about just getting as much money. And if it's churning every 3 months, you just got to make sure you're profitable with your product for 3 months of subscriptions.
Exactly. Right. And if anything, that makes it worse because now they know you're only going to be there for 3 months. So yeah, they are going to give you a reduced product because it's cheaper for them and they're going to squeeze as much money out of you as they can in that very short period of time.
Yeah. And one thing that as you were talking, I was thinking and reflecting that where we had these businesses, I would say outside of the psychological piece and the financial piece, but like when we talk about like the cold calling business, which we didn't start, that wasn't the intention, but it turned into that. And then our most recent like partnership and things like that. Anytime where we were trying to put those key people in place to help operate that business, they seem to be not good at that piece. Mm-hmm. And I would say, sure, it's a person in a position thing, but it's also like we hadn't built the business to the point to do that. And we weren't going to because we didn't love it. We weren't call center people. Like it worked great. Like we were using the call center for our business. It was vertically integrated. Cool. We started selling it as a product because we could. All that stuff. But then you realize, you look back, like, that's not where I want to be. And now that I can't get this person to operate for me and I have to do it, I don't want to put in that effort. And so if you think about that, and I bring that up because you have all these dorks out there that are like, I'm going to buy a business, put an operator in place. It's like, you might be able to, but the chances are really slim because you just got to go in there and there's just no way around it. You got to do 12-hour days and build your business and grind through it and figure it out, understand the nuts and bolts, especially if you're starting from scratch. But if you're stepping into an existing business and you want to scale it, it's the exact same thing. You just have to deal with old habits now.
Absolutely. Right. You know, and I think the contrary to those couple ones where you just kind of like don't love it is like scale. Well, I loved running that group for the years that we did. It's still around as like a free group, whatever, but mostly it's just like old members and we just hang out, you know, every other week. But like that was so fun. We put on like the couple events.
I loved it. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Being around cool people, good people, all that stuff.
Cool people, our vibe, like that was something that I love to do. And so I really want to try to grow that. The problem is, as you learn in that space, that's the example of the financials just not making sense. You know, because we're trying to run it and grow it. And when you have like a mastermind, those sort of things, charge people $5,000 a year. It feels cool when they pay you $5,000, right? Yep. Now you have them for an entire year. What you realize very, very quickly is how many actual transactions that needs to be per month to make it actually accumulate real money is hard, right? And in this sort of space, in like the education space where there's so many gurus out there that are selling like bullshit, because like kind of our whole mantra with Scale was that we were operators first, and that was like a side thing that we did. We were never trying to be full-time gurus. Yeah. And we stayed focused on that the entire time. The problem is the full-time gurus have a much better sales pitch. They have a much larger platform. They are more than happy to tell people what they want to hear to get them to swipe their credit card, right? Whereas like we were more upfront and honest, which is always our platform. And would you believe it? That doesn't convert people very well.
It doesn't convert. Well, then what you have to do is you have to deliver the product. But if you're going to keep growing it, like you said, you have to have this monthly growth. Then all you're doing is focus on bringing in new members and you're not actually providing value to your members.
Totally. You know, and not only that, but you will eventually start to get these members that come in that you know are going to fail. Yeah. And you have to make an ethical decision like, well, are you going to take their money even though you know they're going to suck? And when you're in the position trying to grow business, the answer is yes. And as soon as we transition to that, the quality of the community started to drop just because we were bringing in members that were not performing, or they would come in and they would say like, hey, what's up? In like the Slack channel, they would just disappear, you know? And then all of a sudden they're going to be like, well, this doesn't really work. These sort of things. I'm like, well, it does. You're just not doing the pieces of it. And I can say with confidence of the core members we had, probably like 30-ish members that were like really like engaged, came to the events, doing stuff.
Getting after it.
I think pretty much every single one of them has like left their W-2, is a full-time real estate investor, makes more money now than they've ever made in their life. Yep. We have like people that came in that were like a waitress and, you know, everything. And now they make like $300,000, $400,000 a year. Yeah. Like that's incredible success.
Yeah. Like real growth. And it's because they committed to it.
Yeah. They committed to it, you know, and I think the problematic thing when it comes to like those kind of businesses is you need to be honest around if the time that it takes you to run it is actually worth the financial outcome. Right. You know, and for us, that was unfortunately the decision that we had to make when we kind of moved away from it, was even though it was fun for us to run, it was no longer producing any money. And then also too, the thing with those kind of like educational groups is people graduate from it after a while.
You want them to.
You want them to. Like if people don't graduate, like you have these different groups where people are still showing up for the fundamentals, like 3 years later, that means you're trash. Yeah. Like ideally in 12 months, the people shouldn't need you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and they can hang around because they like the community and hang around with you and whatever. But if they are still like hanging on your every word to figure out what to do next, that means you're a bad teacher.
Yeah.
Especially in this space.
You're not giving them enough to educate or learn.
But that's also the model for a lot of these people is they do that so that people stay around and they, you know, pay another year tuition.
Yeah. Well, we tried our hand.
Yeah. But lending's better though. I like for me, I like the industry. I get excited to work every day. The financial metrics really line up with us. And I think just with how we've sort of found the pieces that we both individually like about business, I just think it's like a better fit.
Yeah.
But I can also say that if we tried this business 5-6 years ago when we started, that wouldn't have been the case. Mm-hmm. You know, because we didn't know what we wanted yet. So you kind of need to like try different businesses, try different like roles within your business to see what actually sticks with you and what doesn't.
You do. Yeah. And I think that's where you do have to continue to ask yourself, like, am I doing the right things? And if you are you doing enough of them?
Yeah. And be honest with yourself.
Yeah. I'll just continue to contend like you just got to put in effort. I don't understand how otherwise you could be super successful if you're not putting in the effort. I guess there's some industries where maybe in a sales industry where you're kind of, I don't know, like medical sales, maybe you can make a shit ton of money and not really work that hard.
You need to work hard initially though.
Yeah.
Right? Like you always do be like, so medical sales, especially if they're the ones that make real money, those are typically people that are in the operating room. Like there's like a high level of clearance and training and stuff that you have to get. You have to build that client list.
Yeah.
There's that very heavy initial load on it.
Yeah. Or like, I guess another one would be like, financial management, like where you're managing people's money. You got to build that book. But once you build a book, you can play a lot of golf.
Totally.
Right. But people see that. They see that person at the end of it and they're like, I want that. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand why they can't get it. And it's because it's like you didn't see the decade before of that hustle and that grind and just trying things and failing and keeping going and just working late and just putting it in.
Well, it's because people get impatient. And the reason they get impatient is because they're typically coming into that mindset from a position of trying to escape a life that they're unhappy with. Right. And when you're sort of desperate to get out of your job that you hate, you know, where you live, like you want to be able to travel, whatever, it's very, very easy to like chase get rich quick things or like to think that you're going to be the exception to that 10 years of hustle like you talked about. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that's always going to be there no matter what, you know?
Yeah.
Like even a lot of the people that did really, really well, you know, holding like real estate that like had W-2s and things like that through the 2020, 2021 boom. The thing is they still put themselves in a position before that where they even owned that real estate.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't do that, you didn't get lucky, you didn't I guess the only exception is if you were a lucky gambler, you bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you know, a long time ago, and that's now worth several $1 million. That's just straight luck. And that also happens. People also win the lottery.
Yes.
You know,
you're right.
But you can't force that.
Sometimes timing and luck are right on people's side, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's the exception to the rule.
Mm-hmm, totally. But, you know, there's also those people that got lucky and then they cash out. And now what do? It's not even like what do they do with their time, but they don't know how to make money. They have no actual control of their income.
Yeah.
You know, because if you end up with a $3 million, $4 million gain, you sell that, you now pay half of it taxes. You have $2 million. You're 35. That's awesome. Eventually that money's going to go away. That's not enough to live for the rest of your life.
It's not a good spot. It's the worst spot to be in.
It really is, especially like with inflation and everything else.
I'm not going to call it easy, but just say you got a good chunk of easy money came to you. And if it wouldn't come to you easy, you still don't have enough to stop, but you also can like take your foot off the gas if you wanted to. You're in a weird spot. $2 million at 35 is a great spot to be in if you continue to have full throttle down. That's an amazing spot to be in. But if you don't really have the tool set to grow beyond that or the desire, kind of in a terrible spot. And you're probably miserable.
Yeah, probably. It's like that quote from Succession, like nephew inherits like $5 million. Mm-hmm. And they're like, that sucks, dude. That's the worst amount. You're too rich to care, but not rich enough to stop working.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. You have the first taste of fuck you money, but you can't really say fuck you to everything. You can say fuck you to some people, but not everybody.
Yeah, especially like depending on where you live, if you're that person, you're probably one of the wealthiest people that you know, like in your direct circle.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I think that makes people complacent as well because you can realistically, you don't have to worry about money on like a day-to-day basis. But the problem is every single time you swipe your credit card, you're whittling away at your savings or that your gains because you have no income that's going to basically replace it.
Gotta have income.
I don't know. I think the one thing that everyone should focus on is just learning how to make money at any level. And it can be like hustle nature, learning how to make it and being willing to do it. You know, even if it's like you're hustling, you're doing stuff hourly, you have like small stuff that you do that you can like charge money for. I don't know, whether like you have like a previous skill where like you built websites or you freaking can help people move or whatever, you know, like that's the most important thing. And then just decide how you want to utilize the more of like soft skills, like the internal stuff that you develop from that to scale it if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah. I tell people right now, like, you know, we ask, like, oh, what would you do if you had this money? Or like, are you investing? How are you investing? I literally don't invest in anything except for me and my business right now. Like I have enough money to invest in things. Yes, I have some stocks, but I'm not actively buying them. I have real estate. I'm not actively buying it. I'm not really looking for crazy upside investments. And I take that to like this point of, you know, people talk about diversifying your investments. And honestly, that doesn't really matter. If you're in your 20s and your 30s, it's not that big of a deal because you don't have enough to diversify really anyways. And so what you're going to be doing is you're taking like, it's like death by a thousand cuts and you're getting okay margins on your money across a bunch of different asset classes. And you're not going to ever get the big upside. And when it comes to your time, same thing. It's like, how are you diversifying your time? If you're trying to do 10, 12 different things in a week that are like separate, you know, like I'm not talking like family time and gym time. I'm talking like, oh, I'm going to go side hustle this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, you know, you're just running around and not all of those things are in alignment. You're diversifying your time and going to have average results. If you want mega results, you need to spend your time and your effort all in one place. And if you're worried about, I don't mean you need to go spend money investing in yourself. How I'm doing it is I am accumulating my extra cash. I'm not worried about buying real estate. I'm not worried about buying stocks. I know exactly what returns I'm going to get with those and they're going to be fine. What I'm worried about is having capital and liquidity available to invest in my own fund, in my own business as needed, having excess cash flow to support my lifestyle if needed. That's what I mean by I'm kind of like singularly focused. And as I've done that, I've really done that for the last 2 years, but really this last 12 months, it's like things have gone up and up and up and up faster than they ever have.
Totally. That focus piece is so important. You know, I don't think people understand how much faster you can go when you eliminate all the noise, you know, and you hear people like say this kind of shit all the time, like, you know, where the kids say lock in, right?
Yeah.
They say that as like a short-term thing. We're talking about locking in for like months or years where literally you do nothing else but focus on that singular thing.
Yeah.
Like
give yourself 5 years.
The amount of gains that you can get is like unbelievable.
It is.
You know, and to your point, like instead of diversifying your money and focusing specifically on having it available to invest yourself in your business, if you had like $1 million, right, as an example, and you did nothing with it for 5 years, it just sat in a checking account and it just lost value, quote unquote, to inflation, right? That absolutely happens. Totally can deny that. But then at year 5, you're able to make a move with that money that produces $2 million. You just made a 20% return over the past 5 years.
Which is amazing.
Right? It's amazing. And I guarantee you that that is more doable than trying to like move a bunch of stuff around to get a projected 20% return every single year.
Right. And you didn't even mention the downside risk that you avoided for those 5 years. And also the just like effort it takes to deploy that, to have it deployed in a diversified way and all that other bullshit that comes along with it psychologically.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing.
Yeah. And like an example of what that could be is that you could use that $1 million to buy like a commercial asset that has $1.5 million of upside. Right. And like there's equity that you're able to make the day that you buy, right? It can be using that money to invest in some systems and some new team members that allow your business to produce an extra $1 to $2 million of revenue, right? That you're going to be getting the bulk of that if you build it correctly, right? There's so many different things that you can do to basically force returns on your money that isn't like quote unquote passive. And I think there's a place for that passive kind of investing, but it's just like at the end of the day, I think that the long-term sort of growth investing like that, again, is for people that are already wealthy, if that is your goal. If you're somebody that like you just want to, you want to be wealthy younger in life, it's a giant waste of time for you to do that. Don't buy into this pitch. A lot of people say like when you're 25, 30 and they're like, well, if you put this in the SP500, this is how much you'll have when you're 65. But when you're 65, that money's going to be worth way less. And who gives a shit at that point?
It's not going to be as fun to spend it.
Totally. And like, if instead you can use that money right now and you can use it to make a few $1,000,000 over the next 10, 20 years, right? And then you start investing that new $3.5 million nest egg when you're 40, it'll probably still be worth the same at 65 anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
It's math.
It's math. But either way, it goes back to my main thesis I've had for a while, whereas the one thing you should just invest in is yourself. And just learn how to control that.
It's true. Unless you suck, you better improve really quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do suck. Sometimes people make bad decisions.
Everyone sucks sometimes.
Well, you start out sucking.
Yeah.
So, you got to put in the effort. You got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. If I had talked about before, back when we first started our wholesaling business, the amount of work that went into I think we did our first year 17 deals.
Yeah.
The amount of work that went into that was
a lot.
Insane.
Yeah.
I don't know what we were doing. We just sucked at it.
Yeah. We just, we weren't good at business. We were trying to figure things out. You're worried about things that don't matter, which is the truth. Especially early on in the business, like in that business, all you should be worried about is talking to people. That's what it comes down to. Going out and talking to sellers, getting in front of as many real estate agents as you can, going and talking to buyers. That's really all you should be doing. Like, you don't need anything else outside of that. We were probably trying to do too much. And we didn't know how to talk to people very well. We didn't know real estate very well. And then we had to learn it and figure it out. And then that compounded into something else, and that compounded into something else. And even if we looked back and we made scratch on all of that, it all compounded experience into what we can do now, where I think our best skill set now is quickly saying no to things and then identifying kind of like that lane we just need to stay in and do that, right? That comes from hiring and firing people. That comes from looking at investments, looking at opportunities, looking at borrowers coming in, if we should actually do a deal with them instead of having this, like you kind of alluded to earlier, running from something, you're running towards something. When you're doing that, you can lock in and kind of focus on the singular thing. Like, we're very focused within our business, within the lending business, but then our industry, but then within our business, we're pretty focused, I would say.
Yeah, totally.
We don't really mess around with shit. People come to us with stuff. We're like, nah, sorry. Sure, we could make a ton of money out of it. Nah, it's not our thing.
Yeah, literally all the time. People ask me about buying houses, different things. I'm like, nah, I have no desire to do that. We literally had an opportunity to buy a really solid flip from somebody in our network, their mom's house. Yeah. It was a great deal. It's a house that we 100% would have flipped years ago. And I was like, I'm not buying that thing. I was like, we'll help find somebody. And sure enough, we found somebody to buy it. And now we're just doing a loan on the deal. Worked out great.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, not going to do it. Sorry. It's easy no.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important.
100%. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. You guys have a great rest of your week. Ooh, we made it the whole time. We didn't even talk about bombing Iran. So we'll save that for next week.
Oh, man. We wait till Dylan comes back and we start talking politics again.
Yeah, there we go.
Dylan doesn't know. He can't swing. He's a swing state guy. He doesn't know which way to swing.
I don't think anyone knows how to win. I don't think there's anywhere to swing with this whole fucking disaster.
There's no winners ever anymore. We're all losers. Sorry.
We're all losers. Yeah. Anyways. All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.
This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips. You can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee you that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorManDan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.